Coming up on today's show, presented by OnX, Know Where You Stand with OnX. And just show people how your DIY program works. My head kind of exploded.
Especially if you have like this, a lot of cattails, like a long distance of cattails, the dogs could think that's land. And then really you're hunting from a boat out in this big slough, and it's 100 yards of cattails before land, and then the dog is lost. So,
time. Broadcasting from the Mid-Migration Outfitter Studios, this is the Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast. How much direction are you getting from the governor?
Minnesota DNR had reintroduced him into this area.
I don't know, maybe you didn't want me to tell the story on the show, but I'm going to tell it anyway.
I knew you were going to go there.
Them and close the entire hunting season.
Oh,
so that's
really?
pretty easy.
The Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast is brought to you by OnX. Know Where You Stand with OnX. Welcome to the show. I'm Bret Amundsen. It's an exciting time for me because I got a 10-month-old puppy, Tiny, who you may have heard me talk about a billion times probably on this show. And she's getting to that point where she's starting to figure out some of the training. I've been a little slow to do some training with her, and that was partly by design and partly just because I was busy. Life gets in the way. That happens to everybody. Unfortunately, you have to spend a lot of time with these dogs. So now I'm trying to make up for some of that lost time. And thankfully, she's a good listener and a quick learner. And I've had some very knowledgeable people to learn from. Of course, Corey Loeffler is where I got Tiny, and he's got some training knowledge that he's been able to share with me. And some of that, I believe, came from Tim Springer, who's going to join us right now. He's helped me along the way, and I want to talk a little bit about where we're at with my dog and what we need to do to take her to the next level. Tim, thanks for being on the show.
well, thank you. Glad to be here. Dynamic
Retrievers is your business. And then you have the DIY training program, which is kind of what I want to show people how that works. And I tell people that it was built for the you were doing it before the pandemic, but it's the perfect training program for the pandemic because people can do it. It's distance learning, really, is what it is. People are doing it at home, and you're communicating over the phone, right?
Yes, sir. Mostly with short videos back and forth.
Which in nowadays technology, you can make that work. It's a brilliant idea, I think. So I finally took advantage of it. I took some video with my phone the other day, and I sent them over to you, and you had some responses for me. And what I'd like to do today, Tim, if we can, is kind of go through some of those videos and just show people how your DIY program works. So I would record a video, send it to you, and then you would send a video back and send your responses back and kind of show people how that program will work. Before we get into that, though, a little bit, I want to talk. We were talking a little bit off the air about what people want in a dog and what that perfect dog looks like. Tim, obviously every dog's different. Every dog's got a personality, but what do you strive to achieve when training every single dog that you come in contact with?
That's a great question. We are striving for a balanced dog, one that is both obedient, yet is having fun and enjoying the retrieving and the hunting, and is kind of the best of both worlds, so to speak.
Everybody talks about the drive in a dog, and when you've got one of those hardwired Labradors, they all have a lot of energy, it seems like, for the most part. Obviously, there's some laid-back ones, but a lot of them just have that natural drive in them, and you need and want to have that drive, but it's important that drive isn't the only thing, or it's not too much at that point too.
Right. You want the right balance of drive and obedience, so the dog will sit quietly, not be whining in the duck blind. Hopefully wait to be told when to go for safety and to not flare other birds. And if you do too much obedience, you'll take away the drive. And if you just allow drive and don't work on obedience, you'll have that crazy, annoying dog.
Well, it's been an interesting time for me. This is my second dog now. I've got a 10-year-old Mika. She's been, I really don't have any complaints with her. She's been a good dog. I had a little bit of training with her from the kennel that I got her from. It was a 2-week program, got her around live birds and live gunfire. But other than that, I was just given some instructions basically to follow. So I'm pretty proud of what she's accomplished. But as you get more experience with dogs and as you get into more training, I realize I did not do a great job. I did okay. She had some natural ability, thankfully. She made me look better than I was in a lot of occasions. But training the person is just as important as training the dog. And I've needed to learn a few things along the way. And one thing, I just want to share this story real quick because Tim, Corey, and I met up a couple weeks ago and did some training up in his neck of the woods, and we did some turkey hunting, and we had some of Tiny's siblings there as well too, and a couple other guys. And Corey was showing us a few things, and we were kind of lining our dogs up and doing some retrieves. And call me ignorant to the ways of dogs and training and retrieves, but I used to point Mika in the direction. I would use my hand to point Mika where I wanted to go, and it worked. It helped direct her in the right way. And Corey's like, you want to line that dog up with your legs. And putting that hand in there is more about making sure that dog is in alignment with your leg that it's heeling to. And it's been like my head kind of exploded, because now I've got it. Every time I try to line my dog up with a heel, I'm pointing to where I want her to go with my foot. She heels to my left. So I'm pointing with my left foot where I want that dog to go. And it's amazing just how much that dog lines up to your body. I guess I never really realized how much they line up to your body versus, where you're putting your hand out there, Tim.
Yeah, and that's one of the 1,000 things that these little videos I could watch and see and help people learn to do things a little bit better.
Yeah, well, let's do that. I want to show. I think this is the first video that I sent you, and basically this is behind my house. I've got a little rise there where my septic is, and it kind of blocks her view a little bit about where I throw the bumper. And here, I'll just play it and we can talk about it. Heel. Heel, sit. Here, drop it. Good. All right, sit. So now I'm going to throw it over this little hill here so she can't see where it lands. Heel. Tiny. Pretty good line. Good. Heel. Here, drop it. Good. Heel. Good, sit. All right, so there is the first video, and I know there's a couple of things right away that I wanted you to see in that video because it's something I need to work on. But I'll let you go first, and then I'll bring up what I wanted to ask you about.
Well, first of all, I see a dog with a lot of drive and enjoying the work, so that is paramount that the dog has the want to do this. But now we have to just shape the behavior a little bit, maybe a little less chomping on the bumper, a little more relaxed. And we're going to, between now and fall, work on gradually getting there. We're not going to get there tomorrow by putting too much pressure on the dog, but just enough to start creating more of a balance. But she's a real nice, typical, enthusiastic 10-month-old puppy.
Yeah, and a little one. She's only, last time I weighed her, she was 40 pounds. So I know Corey's got the little Rocket Roo, but I think I've got the Rocket number 2, maybe, the sequel.
Small body, but big heart.
Yeah, she's fun. So that chomping is number one. I wanted you to see that because she's still kind of pulling away. Now that I shot that video a few days ago, and I sent it to Corey too. And because I was talking to him, I'm like, gosh, this is something that's been a problem. And I've been working on her since then. And I think I've got it a little bit better now. Even inside the house when we're playing with toys or whatever, I'll put my hand out and I don't move it. and I make her come set that whatever, the bumper, whatever it is, in my hand without pulling it away, without me reaching for it, and she knows that unless she sets it in my hand nice, we're not going to play anymore. And that seems to have helped that situation a little bit.
Okay. I'd probably like to also think about some correction that the dog would understand should the dog chomp a bird, while hunting. What we don't want to do is just give some correction because we don't like something and not have taught the dog already how to respond to that correction.
Okay, so when would you give her the correction when she start, like if I'm putting my hand down for that bumper and she is pulling it away, would you give her a little nick right away then?
We might do a little sit nick if she understands that, maybe a little under the chin, a little pop. But I think the point is we're going to do something at home that's repeatable, where you and her work out a system that you both understand, kind of you have the positive side of things of throw another one like you are doing, but you also have the ability to deliver a correction that she will understand and won't be scared or afraid or misinterpret the correction, like maybe think the bird is bad. We don't want those kind of interpretations by the dog.
Let's play another video here for you.
All right. Heel.
I think I've already thrown it.
Tiny.
Yeah.
Sit. Back. Good.
She threw it right up in the air then on her way back.
Good. Drop it.
So you'll see in that one that she didn't find it right away, and I have been doing some whistle training with her. When she can't find it, I'll stop her, sit her, and then I can cast her, which obviously she stopped there to look for some help from me in that video. Let me ask you this question: when they stop on their own like that and ask for help, is that something? Would you prefer them to keep looking, or do you mind that they stop and look without me stopping them?
It's really going to depend on the goals for the dog. So like a pure hunting dog is going to be handled differently than a field trial dog. But generally we like them to be able to keep on going if we tell them to. And we have corrections for that too, where they know to keep going away from us on a command. But you could, as a hunter, for example, you could have like a directed hunt type of where the dog's hunting around, and another way of giving the command where the dog will go exactly where the bird is. In hunting, oftentimes you sort of know where the bird is, and you want the dog to get to that area and hunt. Or in a field or water situation, you might know exactly where the bird is and want to direct the dog directly to it. And in training, we can differentiate things a little bit and help the dog understand the difference. One being more of an obedient, go the direction I tell you to type blind retrieve, where you know where the bird is. And the other one being more of a go hunt this way type encouragement.
All right, I'm going to try to find... I can't remember which ones are which here, but I know I hid her at one point around the corner, so she couldn't even see me throw it. Let's see if that one's this one. Yeah.
Sit.
I could probably be fast forwarding through this part.
That's all right.
Heel. Heel.
She has no idea. That's why I gave her the hand just
Tiny.
a little bit. So
Close.
let me go. Let's just stop it right there for 1 second. So you saw that she healed nicely, but she definitely wasn't lining up. It was like she didn't know what direction to go. So that's why I ended up putting the hand down just to kind of point her. But what I know you can start using your outside knee to do that eventually. But what?
Yeah.
Tell me about that video that you just watched.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good for a 10-month-old dog. But if you want to improve the lining, then you may have 2 or 3. I start with 2 bumpers on the ground called a lining drill where the dog can see both. And you decide which one you want the dog to get. Then you add a 3rd and a 4th and so on until the angles between them is getting tighter, either by adding more bumpers or piles of bumpers or backing up away and systematically teaching and getting kind of the dog to move a little better as it gets older. But I think that's all right now.
Okay. All right. I didn't have this one queued up, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of digging for this next video, but I went down to the pond behind my place, Tim, and I filmed with the drone. Is it in here? No, it's not in there, of course. I can't remember where I saved it. I have way too many hard drives connected right now. Let's try this one. Okay, here it is. So one thing I would like to work on. See what this one looks like. Did I throw it yet? Maybe I didn't throw it yet. No, not yet. Okay, so this isn't the right one. Let's try one more here. One of these videos, she cheats on the way back, but I can't remember which one it was. I'm not sure if it's this one. I think this one, she actually does it right. And let me tell you, it's not easy filming with the drone and trying to train a dog at the same time.
I bet.
No, she actually came back on this one. So a couple of the retrieves, though, you can see the pond there. I'm going to pull this back. So you can see the pond there, and you can see what we were doing. And in that video, she actually did it right. But there were a couple of videos where she would take the shortcut. She'd grab that bumper and take the closest route to shore and then come run around on shore, which in, some hunting circumstances, not really a big deal. But ideally, you want that dog to make a straight line back to you, correct?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, there could be a safety reason or some other reason you don't want the dog, especially if you have like this, a lot of cattails, like a long distance of cattails. The dogs could think that's land. And then really you're hunting from a boat out in this big slough, and it's 100 yards of cattails before land, and then the dog is lost. So we do, towards the end of the tee and the swim by, which is a cast, teaching the dogs to cast on land and water, we do handle them with the bumper and a bird in their mouth, just for these situations in case you want to have the dog come straight back. And certainly it's somewhat of a requirement for dog competitions, hunt tests, and field trials. But
right.
Hunting, sometimes yes, no. Down on the coast of Texas, there's oyster beds, and I teach all those hunting dogs to for sure handle, because they may chase a cripple way down the shore, be running back, and the hunter knows there's oyster shells, which are dangerous for the feet, and they will cast the dog out into swimming water to get around those oyster beds.
So it's all really in what you're looking for in the types of situations that you're going to be hunting in, or if you're going to be running some tests, you're going to want to know how to handle the dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and for every owner and dog, I want them to train their dog for what they want to do, not for what I want to do. So everyone is different and unique, and that's what that has been good. A good way to do this. We can kind of tailor made each handler and dog situation to them.
When I used to have a booth at Game Fair, and I would bring Mika every year, and she would sit out in front and get her pictures taken with all the kids that would come by and want to pet her, I'd always sneak away for a little bit and go have her do the dock jump and all the little games and the scurry. She won the scurry one one day or 1 year. I can't remember. Dan, I remember when I think we had Mika and Echo were both at the top of the leaderboard for a while on the little dry race board that they had for the scurry at Game Fair there 1 year.
I was just going to try to find that picture of that. I'd sit here and look at the little picture of Echo. Those were good times.
Yeah, man. And I still got the little paper certificate they gave me for winning that day for Mika too. You know, it's those little things. But I would take Mika down to the obstacle course all the time. And when she was young, Tim, it was like boom, 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 fence, 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 you know, straight at it. And then as she got a little bit older, she's like, let's go. I don't need to jump right over that thing anymore. So what is something how do you train a dog to just like go straight through, if you want them to go straight through some of those obstacles, to take that straightest line, not only back as we talked about, but straight line out to that bird or bumper that you got?
Yeah, there's a series of drills, and they're called no-no drills, because if the dog runs around the object, that's a no-no, or we say no here and call them back and restart. But generally, we have a marked pile of bumpers the dog knows about, a very clear obstacle in between. We start very close to the pile and back up over the object, and then keep backing up. And then we may add 2 or 3 or different types of obstacles and teach the dogs to go straight. It's also a good way to work on not cheating the water. If it's too cold or you don't have good water, you can actually work on always going straight on land. If you do a no-no drill, oftentimes in your backyard, you can set those things up.
When I sent you some of those videos too, we talked about the chomping and the delivery of the bumper, and you sent me back some instructionals on hold, which I've started doing. I did that first hold level video. I did that today. I did it twice, so I'm going to have to do it a few more times, but she picked it up pretty quick. So probably too quick. She'll probably forget it again. I'll have to do it a few more times, but I was pretty happy with that. Do you want to explain what that is and kind of how that works in your DIY method?
Specifically step 1 or just in general each step?
Yeah, you can just do step 1. We can start there.
So step 1 of hold is we're teaching the dog not to fight against us at all, and we just calmly hold their lower jaw with the gloved hand. And when the dog is calm, we praise the dog and take our hand away, and they learn to just accept whatever's in their mouth. Then we're going to phase in them holding a paint roller without chomping or dropping it. But I ask that people send me videos when they either have a problem or they think that step is mastered. But it is common for people to master 1 step a day.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So she might have actually been figuring it out right away then.
It only takes as long as it takes. So if you just did 2 sessions and she's got it, then we're on to the next step. But if we have problems in step 2, we may have to back up to step 1. But I haven't seen the video yet, so I can't for sure say if we're ready or not.
Well, I didn't film it because I just wanted to try it, but I'll do it again this afternoon and send it over to you and film it. But I want to ask you this question too. We've been focusing on Tiny, the young pup, and I remember when I got Mika, she was eager, smart, a lot of drive, a lot of energy. She picked up things quick. I actually see a lot of similarities. Mika was a little bit more of a spaz. She was a little more headstrong maybe. What are you showing me here, Dan? What do we got here? Oh, from Game Fair. Look at that. Back when we had the sisters. They were really, so Mika and Echo were sisters, but Mika was 65 pounds, and then Echo was Tiny's size. Actually, Echo was 39 pounds pretty much her whole life, but same litter, sisters. And we used to have a lot of fun at Game Fair. Oh, there it is. There's the scurry. Didn't we? Yeah, Mika and Echo. There they are. What year was that, Dan? Oh, 14, right there, 2014. Very cool. So with Mika, I remember them telling me, you'll get to a point as your dog gets older, you guys will be in sync. You'll be hunting partners. You'll know, like Mika and I, when we pheasant hunt, for 3-4 years there was, I would never even have to say a word. We would hit the field completely silent. She knew exactly what she was there for. I knew what she was going to do. She knew what I was going to do. And I would control her with her collar, with vibrating her tones very quietly at times, but we had the system. And then as she got a little bit older, she starts to cheat a little bit. And I remember them telling me, like, when they get older, they're going to think they don't need to, they're the big dog now. They don't need to listen to the commands quite as much as they used to. And she's kind of getting there. And the dogger gets older. You know what you've been through with that dog. So you kind of let it slide a little bit. And you say, she's 10. I don't have to be so hard on her anymore, which I think there's a little bit of truth to that. But I want to definitely give her a refresher because I want to hunt her again this fall. And there's a couple of things that she's kind of slacking on a little bit that I would like to refresh. So do you work with people with their older dogs that are kind of, I don't want to use the word regress, but they're regressing a little bit in their obedience and training?
We have a lot of repeat, customer client dogs come in for refreshers. And you certainly can and should do that. I think when you're getting around that 10 years of age, you do wonder about physical aspects like the hearing, and, you might want to make sure all that is as good as you think it is, but you can definitely review and should review some of this stuff just in and around the yard, just to make sure the dog still understands the correction if you need to give it. We never want to give a correction in the field to any dog, even a 10-year-old dog. But the truth is, we'll probably at some point need to. And if we do need to, we owe it to the dog to have them understand the correction and know what to do.
I had a breakthrough this week, Tim. I realized that my last collar was not working as well as I thought it was. And I knew I was having problems with it. And I think this is one of the reasons why my older dog has kind of been slacking a little bit, is because I haven't been able to. I thought I was correcting her. Her hearing is terrible. Like she can't really hear me much anymore. I used to use the tone more than anything else on there, and she just can't hear it. And then the collar that I had, the tone wasn't very loud on it. But and I didn't know if like the shock on it was getting weaker or what was happening, but I'd wrap it on my hand and I'd let myself have it, and it was working just fine, but I wasn't getting any reactions out of the dog. So I think what was happening was either the antenna on the remote was getting shot and I wasn't getting any range on that collar anymore. So when I thought I was correcting them, it wasn't happening. And I had put it on Tiny this year and had been using it. And I brought her to Corey's. I'm like, yeah, she's had the collar on a little bit. She's getting it kind of figured out. And there was no reaction. Like she was out running around just being a complete terror with the other dogs, not listening. It was distraction city from everywhere, and the collar wasn't happening. So we took one of Corey's collars and put it on her, and it was like a whole new world. Like yeah. When you said the collar wasn't working, I immediately thought about your 10-year-old dog and thought that is why. Yeah,
for sure. You thought you were getting corrections, but you weren't, and so the dog was just becoming gradually less obedient for you.
Mm. Yeah, and that's
and
all.
More than likely, the batteries were going bad on that older collar.
Could be. Yeah, I've gone through a number of batteries, and finally, that collar was. It was probably a couple years old now. It was probably time for a new one. But I take the full blame for it. But I got a brand new collar now, and Tiny has like done a complete 180 in that. I mean, she was never bad. I shouldn't say 180, but the training response has increased dramatically since having a working collar. That makes a big deal, Tim. It turns out.
Yeah.
Turns out. Well, this is great stuff. And, I wanted to take my time and do it right with Tiny. And she was born at the end of July. So obviously she wasn't going to be hunting that fall. So now she'll be, almost a year and a half coming up for this fall, which I'm excited about. Mika, I had her hunting at 8 months right away, which I was pretty happy about. She was pretty good that first year, but I like having this extra time for Tiny before this season. So I'm excited about the work we're going to do this summer.
Yeah, kind of a transition season where the younger one kind of takes over for the older one a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. It's sad and exciting all at the same time. So, Tim, this was an example of the DIY method for people. If they want to learn more about it or become part of the program, what should they do?
They can get a hold of me on my email or my cell phone, call or text. And that info is on our website at dynamicretrievers.com and or on our Facebook page.
dynamicretrievers.com and Dynamic Retrievers on Facebook. Tim Springer, thanks for the time today on the show. And let's bring it back here. There you are. And I'm sure I'll have a lot more videos and questions for you here soon.
Keep sending those videos, Bret.
More are on the way for sure.
All right, good deal.
Hear more at sportingjournalradio.com or wherever you get podcasts.